Cav Manning. Good friends, better enemies. When did you know about the fake leg spot with Mad Dog Vachon? When was it pitched? Was this a Vince idea? One of the best things I ever saw in wrestling. As a kid, I had no clue he had a fake leg. Top 5 match.
Day of, I think that Vachon pitched the idea.
That would be cool as shit. That's
I'm
true.
almost, I might be mistaken. All I remember is talking to him, and I said, I'm going to pull you over the railing. I said, give me the Iggy. Which one's the? Because I sure as hell don't want to pull off. You know, we did so many things in that match. The fire extinguisher, power bomb through the table. We did a lot of things that.
But this is a great example of what I was talking about a couple of weeks ago with the unpredictability in wrestling. You could sit and talk about who's going to win, who's going to blade, is there going to be injury. No one would have put money on the fake fucking prosthetic leg spot being used. And that's why you watch, because you never know what's going to happen. I think that's gone a little bit today. I'd like to see some prosthetic legs. Mae Young flapping in the breeze.
The beauty unexpected. Of that is, and people remember that, and it was like there was nothing that, I mean, Sean and I, the match was in Omaha. We went to the top of whatever hotel we were at, and they had like an Omaha steakhouse, and he and I had steaks, and I drank some vino. He drank a couple of beers, and we just sat there and put each other over.
Right.
Because that was it. I was done after that. I didn't worry. That was my last pay-per-view there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was it.
Kev, a lot of former WCW wrestlers bitch about Bischoff, but they must have done nicely when they were there. Is it less Eric and more that they've blown their money over the years, trying to find someone to blame? Thanks. Why are people hard on Eric? He made the company huge.
There's nobody on this planet that when the question is asked, hey, has anybody beat the WWE and Vince McMahon at their own game? The only person that can stand and raise their hand is Eric Bischoff.
100%.
And I don't know. He made me rich. I love him. I like him as a man. I think he was creative. He's very visual. He's visually driven. If you pitch him a wrestling idea that's all wrestling, if you don't pitch it to him through as he's watching TV, where he can see it, if you don't pitch it right to him, he's not going to. But if you give it to him visually, and anybody that's seen that clip that's on Instagram or on Twitter right now, and they're talking about who killed WCW, and he's Neil Pruitt's talking about how we were going to shoot it, and he used Hill Street Blues, but I think that when we were there, we actually referenced Cops. But it was that kind of thing where you were, because Cops, that's how it was shot.
I know what you're talking about. The cops, like kind of the frantic chasing after
you can see Eric, Eric, you can see his just, when he's explaining it back, you can just see he's looking at it in his brain. He's seeing it. I can just, but I know Eric,
Yeah. That's going to be on what, next week?
Yeah. I've never had. I knew when I tore my quad and I came back, and we were. Oh, I was still on crutches. No, I made sure I wasn't on crutches. I think it was SummerSlam, and Vince and Eric were at ringside, and Vince was talking to somebody, and Eric was talking to somebody. They were, Eric had came while I was injured. This is the first time I had seen Eric since I didn't show up in Panama. And I walked right over and hugged him first. And I turned and I saw Vince sell it. That I hugged Eric before, and I hadn't seen either of them. But it was like I hadn't seen Eric.
Yeah.
The last time I saw you, Vince, was I was having the conversation of, you know, I'm not cleared for my bicep tear, and you got me fucking getting my gear sent to me. This is how people get hurt. That's the last conversation I had, and I've been gone for 9 fucking months, you know, getting this thing put back together. So, but yeah, that's when that, and it resonated to me. I'm just like, wow, this is my buddy. You know, I loved Vince, but Vince was more of a father figure. Eric was more of my buddy.
Got it. I'm anxious to see the
He's
series.
a fucking Detroit guy. There's just something about us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Detroit guy. I'm doing a show. By the time this plays, it'll be over. But I'm going down to New Orleans, and I talked to the guy today, and I looked at his area code on his cell phone, and I'm like, fuck, that's a Detroit. I said, you're from Detroit? He goes, yeah, Livonia. I said, fuck, man. I said, did you grow up like close to Bentley High School? He goes, you could see Bentley High School from my house. I'm like, fuck, dude, I know exactly where you live.
Right. So you have that. You have that.
Yeah. So now
simpatico
it's like,
with him.
yeah. So now it's just like I'm gonna go. The guy says I'll be there. Fucking. I don't fucking have any hesitation whatsoever that he's gonna take care of me.
Yeah, that's
Looking
right.
forward to hanging out with a Michigander on Saturday.
Right.
God,
Brutally honest.
good on
We're
you.
us Northerners here. Brutally honest, right? Like, got to be able to have a bit of a sense of humor.
Sarcastic as fuck.
Oh, we were sitting with Eric at where the fuck were we? Nashville.
Yeah.
Nashville, and
you and Steve.
yeah, and sitting at the table, end of the night, and Eric sitting there, and I forget I was saying something. We were trying to decide something. I had a pad out for some reason. We were going over something, and I said to Eric, I said, well, you know, we're doing this because blah, 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 blah. And Eric goes, he said, well, yeah, because you're an asshole. I said, yeah. He said, I don't mean that as an insult. I am too. I was like, right, I got it. So you got to be able to talk to people like that and understand what they're talking about. When they go, no, you're an asshole, like me. Steve remembers this. I was laying out the live show. I don't know what I said, but it was asshole-ish. Brandon Douglas, I met Eric along with Sean, Kevin, and T at a hotel bar in Nashville. Wouldn't have been T. Might have been Steve, right? I mean, it was the four of us, right? Who else from the live audience? Let's get some questions for everybody here.
Maybe Mick Foley.
Hey, listen. He was number 4 until that run-in. Mr. Epic, I'm currently raising funds for animal rescue and to establish myself as an animal rescue charity. I share it with you guys. Could you share it on your pages? Well, animal rescue is certainly a fine thing. You know, sometimes you got to be careful what you endorse. I mean, you seem like a nice guy. You wouldn't take the money and run. You have to sign some documents and take some lie detector tests first.